Have you ever tried to fit in? Tried to be something you're not? How did that go for you? Well, I can tell you in my experience, not only is trying to fit in uncomfortable, but it leads to loneliness, inauthentic connections, and just not feeling very good about yourself. One of the things I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, and that I will try to instill in my kids, is that it is okay to be you and to be okay with it. The thing is, the concept of fitting in really never goes away. Whether you're making mom friends, going back home, or working your way up the corporate ladder, it's not something you're going to grow out of. But intentional living requires you to be unapologetically yourself, to understand who you truly are deep down, even if it doesn't vibe with your current tribe. So the quicker we can get comfortable with owning our true selves, the more connected we will become, not only to those we encounter, but with our own spirit. And that's what really matters. So stop trying to fit in and start trying to find yourself fitting just the way you are. Be you and be okay with it. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. I'm your host, the founder and creator of the Intentional Home and Living, Courtney Meyers, and today we are talking all about the idea of fitting in. Now, when it comes to living intentionally, fitting in is a big thing because I think we find ourselves in many, many scenarios trying to be something, to fit in with a crowd, to fit in with a group, to be part of something that maybe doesn't necessarily vibe with who we are on a soul level, with who we truly are deep down. I know I experienced this tenfold in college. I went to this great school and had such great expectations of this friendship. I had such great expectations of this beautiful experience I was going to have, building all these lifelong friends, joining a sorority, having all this great stuff happen. And I truly didn't get that experience because I was never fully myself. I felt very uncomfortable in college. And I don't think that's uncommon. I just happened to go to a school where a lot of people seem to already know each other, a school where a lot of people came from the same area. And so it was hard for me to find my place. It was hard for me to find my footing. It was something that was foreign to me. I grew up in one area with the same group of friends and, went to a school where I felt like a fish out of water. And because of this, I did things that weren't necessarily me. I acted in ways that didn't truly align with myself. And as a result, I think all the people I was with in my sorority that I wanted to be friends with saw right through me. And that's what happens when you try to fit in. People see right through you. People see through the facade. There is so much fitting in that goes on in the world, like keeping up with the Joneses, any kind of thing where people are trying to be something they are not. And it is obvious. Now, I didn't really realize how obvious it was in college. This is hindsight looking back. I can see how fitting in just took away my ability to create true, lasting, long friendships. And it's kind of sad for me because I didn't come out of college with that. I felt much more confident when I went into the working world. I felt more like myself. I was able to form relationships that were more autonomous, more independent, more me. And that was great. But I didn't get that experience that I had so desired when I went to school. And as an adult, this is something that doesn't go away. It's something that continuously, I think, comes up in your life until you are really able to embrace who you truly are on a soul level, to really understand who you are, what drives you, what makes you happy, what brings you joy in your life, what drives you as a person. So until you can really nail that down, I think you're going to be in a constant state of trying to fit in. Now, this can be trying to fit in a group of people, whether you're a mom and you're trying to make mom friends. I know I am kind of in that stage. I have moved across the country. I don't know anyone. I am constantly trying to get my kids in activities so that I can meet more people. But I'm really trying to be intentional about the way I go about meeting people. I'm really trying to be intentionally myself so that I make the right friends this time around, that I'm not making surface level friendships, that I'm not making these fake friendships that really don't go anywhere, that really don't feed my soul. Because when you make surface level friendships and when you make facade level friendships, you don't bring out the best parts of you. They're really just, like I said, surface level. It's like you're skating on ice, as my mentor would say. I like to do the deep dive. I go deep into relationships. It's what lights me up. It's one of the things I have realized as a soul, as a spirit, at my core, I truly value the real, raw, vulnerable, deep conversation, deep relationship. It actually brings me joy. You would think it would be the opposite. You would think the fun-loving, surface-level things would bring you joy because they're lighthearted and easygoing. But no, when it comes to me, I want to go deep. So if you want to be my friend, you have to be willing to go there. You have to be willing to dive deep into whatever is going on in your life, get vulnerable, be honest, and share. So that is kind of what I am trying to bring to the table in this new world I am living in. But fitting in isn't something that necessarily is only a struggle when it comes to friendships. It's a relationship issue I think a lot of us face. I am packing up and heading back to California this week with my kids and husband to celebrate my grandfather who recently passed. And the whole concept of fitting in kind of came to the surface for me. This will be the first time we go back to California since we left a little bit over a year ago. And leaving was a big change for me. Leaving was an intentional change for me. I needed to do it for me. I needed to do it for my growth. I welcomed this change. And so going back home, going back to where I grew up is a little bit jarring for me. It's bringing up a lot of emotions. How I fit in into my family, my role in my extended family, my role in my family of origin, shall I say. And we all have a role. We all play a part in whatever family dynamics we have and whatever friend dynamics we have. And so when you go back to something that you've kind of distanced yourself from, you can find yourself falling back into old habits that might not necessarily suit you. And this has been a build for me to this learning of how to live autonomously, this learning of how to live a life on my terms. And going back into the fold always takes you back to where you were, especially when you are around your family. You kind of pick up these old roles, especially with siblings and parents. You kind of fall back into these, like, I don't know about you, but for me, like when my sister and I are together, it's like a lot of times you fall back into this way you were as children. It's just, I think it's natural. I think we all do it. And so I am struggling with the idea of how am I going to fit in my family now that things have changed, now that I have gone my own way. And I don't know how it's going to work out. I really don't know. It's something I've been contemplating, like, how is this going to play out? And I don't want to just fit in. I want to be me. I want to be this authentic version of me. It's taken a lot of work to get here. It's not easy to own who you are. It's really easy to just please others and play the role that you are supposed to play or that you've always played in each other's lives. So when it comes to fitting in, even with something that seems so natural as going back to your family home where you should just automatically fit in, it can trigger a lot. It can trigger a lot of emotion. It can trigger a lot of unknown. So this is a little bit of anxiety I am feeling right now, on top of missing my grandfather, who I absolutely loved and adored. And so I miss him quite much. So it's going to be a very emotional trip. I know it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to test the magnitude of my authentic strength, because living intentionally takes strength. It takes courage. It's not easy always to tap into a version of you that really only you know. That is where your authentic self comes. It's the knowing within. It's this person you are that you have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to share with the world. And that is not easy. That is not for the faint of heart. I don't care what walk of life you're in. I don't care if it's making friends or hanging out with your family. In general, you have to feel confident and comfortable enough with who you are, who you know you are, not what other people want you to be or the facade of you is. And you have to put it out into the world and just be like, this is me, take it or leave it. So this is a big week. This is a big week testing my intentional living endeavors. And honestly, it's a big thing for my message because I am a person who I refuse to say something if I am not willing to do it myself. I refuse to ask anyone to live a certain way if I am unwilling to do it myself. It is one thing I think I really learned in my career is this whole concept of don't ask someone else to do something you are not willing to do yourself. A lot of times, a lot of bosses, a lot of leaders do this. They just put work on other people. They don't even know how to do it. And I refused to be that kind of person in my work. I always said, if I am asking you to work late, I am going to be there with you. If I am asking you to do something, it has to be something I am willing to do myself. So it's the same exact thing when it comes to this whole concept of fitting in. It is the same exact thing that is coming up for me this week. I cannot ask you listening. I cannot ask anyone who is interested in my message. I cannot ask anyone who follows what we're doing here to live intentionally, to tap into their authentic self, to find the courage to be who they want to be without being willing to do it myself. I mean, if nothing else, I have to do it for my children because that's what I want them to be. I want my kids to be okay being themselves. I want them to be okay doing whatever it is that makes them light up. I don't want them to fit in. I don't want them to just blend into the crowd. I want them to be uniquely themselves, and I want you to do the same. That is the point. You are unique. That is why we are all here. We are all here to be uniquely us. And when we can be uniquely us, that is when we can be the person we are meant to be. We are all made with a uniqueness. It's finding that uniqueness and being okay with it that makes life special, that makes us contribute the way to life that we are supposed to contribute. My uniqueness, I am still kind of working that out. I actually asked my husband just a few hours ago, what is it that makes me unique? What is it that makes someone want to hear what I have to say or follow along or join me in this intentional ride? And I'm struggling with that concept. I think a lot of us do struggle with that concept. So when we do struggle with this idea of like what makes us unique, it's really easy to just try to fit in because fitting in is easier. It truly is. You don't want to be different from your group of people. You don't want to just be the kid that's sitting on the sidelines while all the other ones are playing handball at recess. You just don't. I think at a very young age, we learn that it's easier to fit in, to go with the crowd, to have a group of friends than it is to go your own way, to be an individual, to stand up for what makes you happy, what brings you joy, or what you want to do. It's extremely natural to want to fit in. So when you do decide to step into a more authentic version of you, it is like a shock to the system because you're going to have to relearn what it means to cultivate relationships. You're going to have to relearn what it means to cultivate friendships. You're going to have to relearn what it takes to be you in any group setting. It's truly a challenge, but I think it's one that the world is ready for now. I think more and more people are ready to embrace people for who they are, that are ready to embrace people for their uniqueness. No longer do you have to fit into a certain mold. I think there is a more open-minded sense of energy around the world to go ahead and be you and be okay with that. Now, I think sometimes it gets celebrated a little too much. Sometimes we take it to extremes. And I don't think we need to go to an extreme with this. I don't think you need to distance yourself from every friendship or relationship. I think you just need to start introducing the world to who you are, who you feel you are. Cut away the small talk. Cut away some of the things that maybe you just go along with. If you don't find yourself loving to go out on girls' nights because you enjoy more of a one-on-one type of relationship, having a glass of wine at home, then step into that. If you don't find that you are a person that wants to host big barbecues, you would rather go out to a nice dinner one-on-one, then go with that. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And the more we can understand that, the more that we can accept that, the more we can own what we want, what feels good for us. And when you try to fit in, I will say it does not feel good. In college, I did not feel good. I never once felt good about myself. I had fun from time to time. I was usually drinking to excess so that I can kind of mask this side of myself. I felt very self-conscious. I didn't feel like me. I didn't feel comfortable. And I had to do things in order to get myself into a comfortable state because I wanted to be part of the group. I wanted to be part of the crowd. I wanted to find my people. Looking back, had I just been me, had I just not tried so hard, I know I would have come out of school with great friendships. My sister did this. She has wonderful friendships to this day. It's actually something that she excels at. I think it is one of her gifts in life is to know how to be herself in a group. She knows how to cultivate friendships. It is something she really is great at, and she has a great group of college friends to show for it. I have very small groups of friends. I can only be myself in very small groups. That is something that I just have always been like. And now I'm learning that it is okay. I actually saw it in my daughter this weekend. We went to a birthday party and she was so excited to be at who she says is her best friend's birthday party. But she struggled once we got there quite a bit because she didn't want to share her friend. And her friend, of course, had all her other little buddies there. So I am starting to see little snippets of me in her. And I want her to know it is okay. You don't have to go play with the whole group. You don't have to fit into this crowd to have a friendship. You can still have your unique friendship with your friend the way that works for you. It's very interesting when we could stand back and look at things going on in our children's life and we can relate to them, that we can see our own experiences being played out again for them. Like we always talk about, like I always say, our children are our best teachers. So I think this was a huge learning lesson for me, is to understand that, it is okay to navigate your relationships the way that works best for you. So that is my intention for you this week, is to stop trying to fit in, to tap into who you are on a more authentic level and start to bring that into your relationships, whatever they may be, whether they're your family relationships, your friend relationships, your work relationships. A lot of times fitting in comes to play in work because you want to either climb the ladder or get along with your coworkers or whatever it may be. It's the same thing. You try to fit in, but I think you're going to do better. You're always going to do better in a workplace when you are you, because you were hired for your uniqueness. You were hired for what you bring to the table, not how you fit into the group. That doesn't mean make waves with everyone. That doesn't mean to be nasty. That doesn't mean to butt heads and not get along. You can get along and not necessarily fit into the crowd. You can get along and be yourself. I think that is the best thing we can do, is get along. Not fitting in or not trying to fit in doesn't mean you don't have to not get along with people. You just need to be you and be okay if someone doesn't necessarily accept that version of you. Don't change who you are to fit in. You know what I'm saying? So that is my intention. Stop trying to fit in. Start bringing this authentic version of you out. Start to find the courage to be who you know you are, who makes to be the person that makes you light up, to be the person that makes you feel most comfortable and confident. And I promise you, when you start to do this, the right relationships will start to form. The right relationships will start to come into play. You may lose some relationships along the way, but that's okay. If you lose some sort of relationships, then those people weren't for you. Those people weren't meant to be in your tribe. So you have to be okay with that. Just start to bring out the true you, the original you, the most unique version of you. I promise that I am going to go into this week doing the same, really trying to bring out this most authentic version of me in a situation that necessarily doesn't lead itself to making it easy. It's not going to be easy to truly be who I am away from my family, my extended family. They know a certain version of me. So bringing in a new version of me that I feel confident in doesn't necessarily vibe with what they want me to be. It doesn't mean that they're not going to accept me. It's actually more about me than them. It's more about me owning myself. It's about me finding comfort and confidence to be who I am, to be who I want to be. It's all within. And getting comfortable with that takes time. It takes practice. There will be ebbs and flows. We will fall back on old ways. I know it. I can see it now. I'm going to fall back on my old ways. I'm not necessarily always going to be able to be like, no, I have changed. This is me. It's not always going to be that easy, but my intention is that I'm going to try. I am going to do it. Actually, I want to take the word try out of the equation, because when you try, all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. I am setting the intention now that I am going to be the most authentic version of me possible this week. Doesn't mean there won't be slip-ups along the way. So please set that intention with me. Don't try to do it. Set that intention with me. Let's do it together. There's strength in numbers. We can be ourselves. We can be unique, and we can be accepted for who we are and our uniqueness and everything that we bring to the table. We need that in this world. So thank you so much for listening to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers this week. I am so happy to have you here. If you like listening, please give us a follow, a share, a comment, a like. Let's expand our intentional world. And follow us on social media. That's where you'll find all of our information on upcoming guests. We have a couple exciting ones slated for June, and that's where we share daily intentional content. It's really great to connect on social media. It's really great to connect on the podcast. And you can always find the Intentional Home and Living at CourtneyMyers.com. We have all of our programs there. That's how you can learn how you can work with me one-on-one and learn about our upcoming course. So we are working on a writing course, how to connect to your most authentic self and write from the heart. I'm really, really, really excited about that. So stay in touch, stay tuned, share it all with your friends. Welcome to the Intentional family. I am so excited you joined us, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.